topic of discussion is food storage. Food storage is one of those things that has a far-reaching, and we could certainly I could probably spend 3 or 4 weeks talking about it. But today, we just want to cover some basics and a couple of things that I wanted to share with you that I've learned, and a couple of tricks that I even have my wife here to share some of the things that we've incorporated in our food storage. The church has recently come out with a little pamphlet that talks about food storage. For years and years, we were always told as members of the church that we should have a year's supply of food. And some people went out and dutifully did that, and most dutifully didn't. And then in the last year or so, the church has come out with a pamphlet from providentliving.org that says they've kind of revamped of what food storage is, and for a more, probably for a more international group. That pamphlet is called Safely Gathered In. It's available at lds.org. If you just go in there and type in food storage under the home and family, there's a little link to go to that, and you can print it out as a PDF file. A little 2-3 page little pamphlet that talks about food storage. Most of us have those. We've given them out at 2 state conferences, so everybody should have one of those. And the change from having a year's supply of food was the first mandate that they asked for us to do was to get a week's supply of what we normally eat. And so that's where we're going to start on with our food storage. We talked about last week, the week before, about 72-hour kits, having a 72-hour kit, being able to take care of yourself for at least 72 hours. In fact, we talked a bit, and I even shared, and if you want, we talked about those food bars that you put in. I actually have some of the food bars that you can have. If you'd like to have some of a piece of it a little later on, you're welcome to have a bite of what those food bars taste like. And they certainly will keep you alive, but they are not going to make you very happy. And so beyond 72 hours or beyond that initial emergency situation, we're going to need more food than that. So where do you start with? Well, the church suggests, and I suggest as well, that you start with what you eat. In fact, I heard a really great scenario one time is you want to have a year's supply of food, just figure out what your 5, 7, 8, 10 favorite meals are and buy 24 of them. I mean, think about it. If you have your favorite meal that you like to have once a week, let's say your favorite meal is spaghetti, and you like to eat spaghetti once a week. Not a problem. You go out and buy 52 jars of spaghetti sauce and 52 bags of spaghetti. There's a year's supply of spaghetti. That's easily figured out and accounted. Well, I don't know if you want to eat spaghetti once a week for an entire year, so you'd have to pare that down a little. But you can see that just by doing that, you can come up with what you want to have. Just by figuring out what your favorite meals are, and then how many times you would eat those in an average month, and then storing those foods. But we want you to start off with a week's supply of food. And what food? Whatever it is that you want. Whatever you think would be the easiest to cook. Especially if you're not on an emergency supply, you probably want to have foods that don't require a great deal of water or a great deal of cooking, in case there's those kind of things. So maybe cans of beef stew if you like beef stew, or something like that where you can put it into a pot, simple pot, warm it up somehow, and I mean, you can even take a simple pot, put it out in the sun, and put a black cloth over it, and it will warm it up enough to eat it. Beef stew is already cooked. You can eat it right out of the can. It doesn't need to be warm. And so, to get a week's worth of supply of food is not that difficult. How do you go about purchasing that? That also is not too difficult. Next time you go to the store, let's say we're going on spaghetti, and you want to buy spaghetti is what you're going to buy. So you buy the spaghetti for tonight's meal, well, you buy an extra one and store that away. And keep that, and keep rotating in that way. So next time you buy spaghetti, you go buy 1 spaghetti, and then you buy 2 more. Especially if you find them on sale. If you prepare in advance the list of foods that you like to eat, that you have already predetermined that you want to have on your list of meals, you carry that list with you at least, in your mind or something else, and you know that tuna surprise casserole is one of our meals that we've decided we're going to eat. And so when you go to the store and the supplies for your tuna surprise casserole are on sale, you buy more then. So when the tuna's on sale for whatever tuna's on sale for at the, I don't even know what tuna costs anymore, 50 cents a can or whatever it is, then you stock up on the tuna for your tuna surprise. And that way you cut down the cost of your supplies for your meals. That's okay to do for a short-term supply of a week's worth of food. But if you're trying to store that kind of food much beyond that, it really kind of gets cost prohibitive. In that we're talking about a large amount of space to store all that food. You're also talking about a fair amount of money spent to buy that food, and that food is all relatively quickly perishable. What I mean is, if you put it on the shelf, you've got to eat it within, 18 months to 2 years, or otherwise it goes bad, and then that food is no longer good to you. So you have to have not only the space, the shelving, but a system of rotating it in and out, which is not difficult to do, but is not incredibly easy. I want to talk a little bit about once you've got that food, where are you going to put it? That's almost always the question I get from people is, well, where are you going to store your food? Well, I live in an apartment, and I've been really creative about where you store your food. We have cats. We used to have a cat, but my wife brought home. Now we have cats, plural, and so we have cat food. I tend to buy cat food in bulk because it's cheaper that way. But where do you store bulk cat food? Well, it's stored next to my bed. But you wouldn't know it was stored next to my bed because it looks like an end table. We have a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket that is filled with the cat food that has a half-round piece of particle board on it with a black cloth draped over it. That is my end table next to my bed. And so when you go to get cat food, you just take the little lid off and get the cat food and put it back on. You can do this oftentimes. There's, in fact, several friends of ours have taken and they've moved their couch away from the wall a few inches. A lot of couches, you have those, I don't know what you call a couch table that runs behind your couch to put stuff on. Well, if you move your couch table, if you move your couch away from the wall a little bit, you can stack up things behind your couch and then put a board on top of it, drape it with a cloth, a cloth of your choosing, put candles on there, and it looks like a couch table, but actually what it is some of your food supply. Underneath both of our, all 4 of our children's beds have food storage stuck underneath the beds. I'm sure you've seen these little table and bed and bench, little padded bench where you can change your shoes and socks. Well, our padded bench hides underneath it 4 5-gallon pails full of food, and so you can find creative ways of stacking your food storage. I know of one family that actually went and took the legs off of their couches, the couches that were standing up on pedestals, and they moved it up just a little bit and stored all of their stuff underneath their couch. So there's all kinds of dead space. My personal favorite one is the one where I store the water in ours, which is in the very back of our closet. Back where the shoes go that the old tennis shoes that you used to mow the lawn in and you throw them away and you don't know where they are. They are back there in the back of your closet. And the back of the closet is a great place to store food because it's cool, it's dark, it's usually pretty well regulated temperature-wise. And so the back of your closet is a great place to do it.